All right, hello and welcome. My name is Lindsay Devine, and I'm Senior Director of Learning Resources and Products at UAGC. I will be the host of this session, Turning the Keys of Service, Unlocking Belonging in Higher Education. By joining us today, you acknowledge that this session is being recorded and will be shared with TLC-related materials. Microphones will be muted for this presentation, but we encourage you to post questions and comments in the chat. We've also enabled live transcription. If you'd like to use that, you can click the live transcription button at the bottom of your Zoom window. And now I'm pleased to introduce you to Kira Heskey, UAGC's Associate Director of Learning Support, who will introduce you to her fellow panelists. Kira?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lindsay. I appreciate it. I'm so happy to be here with you all. Could you go on to two more slides from here, Lindsay? One more. Awesome. Perfect. That's us. Welcome, everyone. So glad that you've joined us. As Lindsay mentioned, my name is Kira Heskey, and I'm the Associate Director of Learning Support here at UAGC. And I'd love to introduce you to my esteemed fellow panelists. Ashley DeLosa is the Program Chair of the BA program. Bill Davis is the Program Chair for the BAOMA program. We also have Karen Menti, who's our Outreach Librarian, and Jerry Ford, who's our Systems Administrator 2. And the next slide here, sorry, yeah, please do the next slide. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Bill to get us started, to kick us off. Thank you.
Well, what a great team. Together, everybody achieves more. So one team better together. And I think we've got a nice presentation for everybody here. And our goal is that you walk away with some things that you can use and apply. So with that said, I'm going to just talk to this slide real quick and hopefully grab your attention in a real positive way here. But success begins with connection. When students feel trusted and valued, they thrive. Creating a culture where students know that they matter is vital for unlocking their potential. Trust is a foundation of the relationship, but it must be nurtured through empathy, right? You got to lead with empathy, compassion, caring, and leading by example. That's the key point, because they're going to mirror what they see with you too, over time. But when students feel a two-way connection where their voices are heard and respected, mutual respect, they're more likely to engage. They're feeling safe, right? And they're going to succeed and they're going to persevere. So the key to success is simple. Build credibility, foster equity, and always follow through when you make promises. This is part of mattering theory. I just love this piece. DWISYD. What does that mean? Do what you say you will do. So follow through, be consistent, model consistency. When we lead with integrity and care, students flourish. This presentation that you're going to see that I'm going to cover here, this piece of it, is simply on mattering theory by Nancy Schlossberg's research. And she emphasizes, again, what I just said, the significance of individuals feeling valued, feeling important when their environment, the learning environment, particularly in higher education settings, is developed and it's rich and it's complete. The theory posts that students' perceptions of mattering can profoundly, good word, profoundly, influence their engagement, their motivation. That's what I said earlier. And this is what this theory and all this research says. And it really impacts their overall success. So keep that top of mind and embrace the power of diversity in your classroom. So with that said, when we think about trust, I want you to know in my career, I've learned that trust is built a piece at a time and it's built over time. But when it's lost, it can all crumble at once, right? So we want to be consistent. And with students, it's essential to make a strong first impression, to build trust early on from the start and always put them first. And when you think about that particular dynamic, I had a situation where I would come in and say to my students that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And we went through the entire class over 5 weeks. Student gave me a plaque in the back of that and put students in front of people. And I never forgot that. And it's just a symbol that I always remember for years. And that's about 10 years ago. But students don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. This gesture really showed me how important it is to create the personal connection in the classroom and to help students succeed, not just academically, but emotionally too. I'm concerned about how they feel. Trust is everything. It's the foundation that helps students feel supported and empowered to succeed. Next slide, please. Okay, when we think about mattering, when students matter, they succeed. Now, they're more likely to engage fully in their education, which leads to greater academic success, right? That's what we want. We want them to persist. We want them to have a great learning experience. And they have greater academic success because they feel comfortable, they feel safe. This sense of significance fosters trust between the students and the educators. They know you, they trust you, they made decisions, they feel comfortable, they're looking forward to coming to class because they know that it's a creative, it's a supportive, what we created a supportive learning environment that encourages them to take risk. If they've got a question, they can ask it. I mean, they know that we're going to actively participate and engage with them. Recognizing and affirming that students matter is key to cultivating a positive learning experience that promotes achievement and personal growth. And what this leads to is increased confidence. Confidence plays a crucial role in the process. And as Dr. Rosabeth Moss Kanter highlights in her research, confidence is the foundation that empowers students to take initiative and explore new ideas. Again, they're confident and to overcome challenges. When students believe in our role as educators is to build that confidence to ensure that they feel capable every step of the way. Next slide, please. So let's just talk about the dimensions of mattering theory. And here they are, 4 simple steps based on the research. Attention, importance, ego extension, independence. Think about your own classrooms for a second. Reflect on the students who may be sitting back quietly, maybe not participating, unsure, or perhaps struggling with their confidence. These are the students who need your attention. They need your guidance and your support. You need to coach them up. It's up to us as educators to see these things, to recognize these things, and to act and take the initiative to engage them. In a classroom, there are many variables at play, the dynamics, and it's easy to spot a student who may need extra encouragement. Sometimes the right words at the right time go so far. And sometimes it's that simple to give them a boost, especially if you see them kind of on the fence or struggling. By consistently, and that's the key word, modeling consistency and being consistent, and providing attention. Okay, what's going to happen is you're going to show them importance. They're going to feel a sense of belonging. Okay, and they're going to feel recognized. Someone saw me. I see you. I see you want to help me. They feel that. They not only see it, they feel it, they hear it. You're appealing to their senses in that dynamic. So with that said, these 4, we want to give them good attention. We want to make sure there's academic quality in the course. We want to support a caring learning environment. It's all about the environment, right? The culture you create in your classroom. The importance, prioritizing, you have to prioritize, we have to prioritize as a university and us as educators to say, nope, I'm committed to this, definitely, and I'm not changing. I'm going to go this way, and I'm going to show them I care. I'm innovating with them, finding new ways, better ways to reach them, and I care about their relationship. We're going to be sensitive to them. We're going to be kind. We're going to move them through their learning continuum. We're going to do all the things with critical thinking and develop them, but that relationship is so important, that culture. And here's the key: we want to be authentic and genuine. And we want to be honest. We want to be consistent in their success. We care about their success. They exist. We exist for them. And we can never forget that. We want to keep the main thing, student learning. Ego extension, make a plan to check in on students. Give them honest and supportive assignment feedback. And I always like to say this: connect first and then teach. Okay. Build that relationship. And you can do that with some effort, and it doesn't take too long, to get to know someone, and you find that common ground and help those students. Dependence, make sure that you heard them and that they feel you heard them. If you have to paraphrase it back and you have to do that with the right tone or however you do it, make sure you're engaged with them. Staying engaged is essential, and follow through, close the loop. I said this earlier. Do what you say you will do. Follow through is so important for credibility, really. And if I give you an example, it's like everybody showed up for this session and all of a sudden we weren't here, we lose credibility, right? I mean, sometimes Murphy's Law happens and something doesn't work, but we're all here on time, we're committed, we're dedicated, and I think that's a good example. Next slide, please. Now, we show this slide just for the simple reason that we have a culture of care. And it's centered around the pillars of student empowerment, respect, advocacy, effective communication, support. And it creates the environment that I've been talking about where students, they feel valued and they feel engaged in their learning journey. This nurturing, keyword nurturing, atmosphere fosters a stronger relationship between educators. That dynamic matters, and the students, ultimately leading to enhanced academic performance. I mean, when people are ready and they feel good and they're motivated and they feel they belong, they're going to start to take an interest in this, and you're going to see that passion and purpose come out, and you're going to ignite them. And that was what we talked about in that first slide, igniting their success. But also to remember this, not to confuse this with culture of care, but remember that Maslow's theory is at play here too, and it's essential because it highlights the importance of fulfilling students' foundational needs, such as safety and belonging. Before they can reach higher levels of self-actualization, by aligning our culture of care with Maslow's framework, we can ensure that students not only feel supported, but also empowered to achieve their fullest potential. And that's where that comes in. Can you imagine if they don't feel that in that particular model, in Maslow's model, they're not going to continue to grow and move up that particular pyramid. And I just want to make a comment about positive psychology. You know, we're not positive because life is easy. We're positive because life can be hard sometimes. So we want to be positive with the students we teach as educators. I mean, we want to be optimistic. We want to see everything that's there possibly and lead with a belief and lead with care and continue to help students navigate through the obstacles that they face. We never want to forget. We want to, you know, promote that whole belonging. Next slide, please. Now, this is just simply outcomes that come with culture of care. And I did tell you how we nurture a culture of care. And these are outcomes. We're igniting student success. I just want to see, so you see the outcomes that come out from all these inputs and all this effort and things that we're doing as educators, leaders, coaches, leader coaches. You know, students are going to be ignited. They're going to transcend some of those negative beliefs. They're going to start believing in themselves, right? They're going to start saying, you know, I can do this. I got this. You're going to see that whole passion, that aha moment, you know. And to me, I've seen it many times, and that's what fuels me as an educator when I see that. Positive experiences of belonging. They feel more belong. Reduced feelings of being unacceptable. You belong. You matter. You're in this. I got to tell you, my colleagues here in this team, they made me feel I belong. They made me feel, you know what? This is going to be a positive experience. They made me feel when we rehearsed this that your part matters, Bill. They made me feel we can do this. We got this. Ashley DeLosa, her favorite saying all the time when she's confident is, Bill, we got this. To me, I think that's absolutely wonderful. And so I would just like to just mention that these are just some outcomes. There's many outcomes that occur. So now I'd like to turn it over to my exceptional colleague, Karen Mighty, who's an outstanding researcher here. She's a librarian. She can find anything. She can give you facts and figures and articles and support material. And after she's done, she's going to go back to Ashley DeLosa, who runs our biggest program in the Forbes School of Business, the BA in Business Administration, who is just leading with empathy all the time. And she's going to cover some things with Jerry Ford, who's a great data analyst and so forth. And you're in for some fun. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Karen.
Thank you so much, Bill. It's been so nice working with you on this project and with everyone. So Bill set it up so well, and I love the do what you say you will do, Bill. That's going to be my new mantra. I need that. And now what I'm going to do is just sort of ground this discussion today in the literature that we have around mattering theory and sense of belonging in an online classroom. And Bill did such a great job setting it up with an overview of the mattering theory that Schlossberg termed in 1989, but we wanted to trace the thread from 1989 to today and all the changes that have happened in online learning and just the online classroom, and look at it through a lens of belonging. So I started my literature review with this first research question of how does mattering relate to belonging in online higher education, and what impact do both have on student outcomes? So one thing that I thought was important to note, belonging and mattering, they're related concepts, but they really have distinct nuances. Belonging refers to the feeling of being accepted or included, part of a group or a community. It's really about social connection and a sense of fitting in where you are. Mattering goes beyond belonging. It sort of involves feeling valued, significant, that your presence really makes a difference. It's about individual worth and the belief that one's contributions are meaningful. So in the context of higher education, this difference might be, belonging might involve feeling connected to other students, connected to the instructor, participating in your online discussions, feeling a part of that virtual classroom community. Mattering, though, might involve more of a personal connection, feeling valued by the instructor, receiving meaningful feedback, and believing that your contributions to the course are important. And so I wanted to put some images on this slide to just help connect these ideas. And I always turn to nature to sort of ground this, this idea. So to illustrate this nuance, I included some images. Consider this your invitation to come visit me in San Diego. You might be familiar with some of these images if you haven't visited San Diego lately, but I'm not native to San Diego. My family moved here in 2017 and we put down roots, so to say. And one of the first places I remember visiting was Balboa Park. Feel free, give me a thumbs up if you've ever seen this Moreton Bay fig tree in Balboa Park, or if you are planning a trip to San Diego and you're going to visit Balboa Park. Now, if you're ever in Balboa Park, stroll over to the Natural History Museum. Behind there, you will see this gorgeous fig tree. And my husband can remember when he was a kid, you could climb all over it. It has all its roots just exposed on the ground where you can climb on them. The branches are really thick. It's a perfect climbing tree. So unfortunately, now they've fenced it off, but that does make sure that it is nurtured and protected. And I'll get to that in a second. But I love this fig tree as a symbol of mattering in the online classroom because the tree has all these strong and exposed roots. We can see the history of that tree there on display, just as our students are coming from all unique circumstances. We need to make sure that they feel seen, that they feel grounded and with a strong foundation. So also this tree has been here for generations. Generations have come and explored it. My kids, my husband, when he was a kid, his parents, and we really get to appreciate this tree for just a small blip in time. And that's just like the students that we help. So how can we protect them and nurture them and really give them that strong foundation to make sure that they feel like they have something valuable to contribute, just as this tree gives us its sturdy branches and its shady canopy. And so now I'll move to the other picture. These, if you've been to the San Diego Zoo, you've probably seen the animals that are known as the ambassadors of the San Diego Zoo. They're right there when you first walk in. They're the flamingos. And flamingos, interesting fact, by the way, the collective noun for flamingos, I learned during putting together this presentation, is called a flamboyance of flamingos. Is that not the best thing you've heard? So flamingos actually have really deep social bonds that help protect them from predators, helps them hunt for fish, and it really helps them survive. It's necessary for a community of flamingos to have these social bonds. Each bird relies on the collective strength of the group, embodying how unity and mutual support helps individuals feel valued and safe. So this is, of course, our goal for an online learning environment as well. And while these concepts are intertwined, it's important to recognize, next slide, please, that students can feel a sense of belonging without necessarily feeling like they matter or vice versa, but both are essential for creating a positive and supportive online learning environment. So I won't spend too much time, summing up the research. A lot of it is probably stuff that we already know, but we do want to ground what we're saying here today in these studies that show the importance of creating a sense of belonging and mattering, especially for online students. And this is a trend, you know, since 1989 that it's only grown in the research that is being done. And studies show that areas like student engagement, student satisfaction, these are all student performance. These are all places where mattering and belonging can have a real impact. They're exploring strategies to foster matter and belonging, which we'll talk about. Actions by faculty can really play an important role, such as appreciation for diversity, validating students, which really doesn't take a lot just to, you know, it's the same kind of skills that we build every day, just making sure we're meeting people with empathy, you know, providing caring instruction and mentoring. And then also a plug for our supportive student services like advising, of course, the library, I have to give a shout out to, subject tutoring, writing center. There are all these wraparound services that are here to nurture students, and we also play a role in impacting mattering and belonging. And the research shows that that can have a real impact. So there are some areas that if anyone, you know, is interested in exploring this topic in further research opportunities, longitudinal studies, especially with the online classroom, something that shows how these topics impact student outcomes over time. And then, of course, non-traditional students are always it's very important that we study non-traditional students and not just more of the traditional, you know, 4-year on-ground student experience. And then how new technology could foster mattering and belonging. And this is one area where AI has really started to make waves in the research about, you know, are there tasks that AI can maybe take off of an instructor's plate to free them up for that more personal one-on-one connection? Or, you know, there are also studies that argue the opposite, like, could AI provide that instantaneous feedback that helps students feel validated, while instructors can provide more of the instruction and, you know, less of tasks that AI can be providing. So I know we all have strong feelings about that, and it's a topic that really needs a lot more research. Next slide, please. So my second research question was just, what are the strategies that we can use to foster mattering and belonging, especially in an accelerated online course and for non-traditional learners? And this gets at what Bill's already set up for us, building those relationships, fostering social connection, using those supportive services that your students have available to them, and really just creating that positive learning environment, making sure students feel seen and heard, making sure that we provide the culture of care for them and that they are aware of what support is out there. You know, a lot of students just, even if you feel like you've said it a million times, just saying it one more time that you're there for them or you're hearing them or you know, there's someone here to support them can make all the difference if they're having a bad day or something like that. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Ashley with the question of just what are some other ways that we can facilitate this student success?
Thank you so much, Karen. So here are some ways that we can further our approach to student success. We have a couple different items here, and honestly, I wish I would have renamed this header rather than a student-centered approach, a student as humans-centered approach. We want to ensure that we are treating every single student that we're interacting with here as humans first, right? Not students first. They come to us with the dream of pursuing their higher education. Many of them may be in challenging times, uncertain times. They have many responsibilities and wear many hats outside of school. We all face challenges and struggles and, day to day, one day we may think we have one challenge that's at the top of our list and the next day it may be something else. So we need to ensure that we're recognizing everything our students are going through, not that their whole life is devoted to being a student, but that they're humans, parents, friends, colleagues, many times first. So having empathy, we know what that means, putting ourselves in students' shoes, relating to them. If you're having an interaction with them and they're sharing something deep, personal, or challenging with you, relate back, right? It's something that I know I put inside of every single classroom that I have. I openly share. It took me a million years to go back to school and get my higher education. It almost took me too long because I had challenges. My mother passed away. I had 2 children, many things happening in my personal life. And I just want to ensure that students know that I went through it too, and I'm here to support them. So leading with care, Bill talked about the culture of care that we have here. Really, that just means ensuring that every interaction we have with students, we're putting their care and their needs above our own, right? As faculty members, sometimes it may take extra effort, extra time out of our day to issue an incomplete, to grade late work, but that's the right thing to do for the students. So we need to put their needs first. We want to embrace our emotional intelligence. And what does that mean? That means that we are able to recognize and understand our emotions and the relationships that we have. We're in control of the relationship we have with students. So how we treat them will absolutely, be a memory to them as they continue on in their program. We want to engage fully, actively listen and engage, right? Not just answer the question that they may be asking. We need to read between their questions sometimes. They may be asking us a question of where do I find this in the library? But that may tell us other things, right? Maybe they're feeling uncertain. Maybe they don't know where to go to ask for help. Maybe they're feeling stress or challenge and they're panic emailing you at 11:30 at night. We can see what maybe they're really truly going through without having to ask those questions. Nurturing the students and their transformation. Bill said something earlier that really stuck with me. I wrote it down. The right words at the right time. I don't think there's ever a wrong time to be encouraging. I don't think there's ever a wrong time to be kind. So really reflect upon how you're engaging in their transformation, maintain that positive attitude. We are all going through challenging times too in our lives. Many times we may have something going on with a child or something going on with work, something that's stressing us out. We can always be kind to our students. Next slide. And I'll turn it back to Bill.
Okay, thank you very much, Ashley. And I just wanted to say that this is a mindset, obviously, too, as we deal with students. To look at what's right and to make those adjustments. And once we set that, and we're going forward, our passion takes over and our dedication and commitment. And the thing that I always like about Kira and Karen and Ashley, and I've met Lindsay now, and I just see the passion to make change, to ensure students succeed or humans succeed, to Ashley's term. And it just moves me and it inspires me. So when we get in those environments, and Jerry Ford and everybody, just good things happen because there's such positive synergy. Now, this is just an example for you that I thought that I'd be remiss if I didn't show it. I recently had the pleasure and privilege to present at Walgreens University with our best team, the Business Educational Services team, Glenn Watson and his team, Randy King and his team, and I've worked with them many times, Lilia and Ginny and Kelly Wood. But what I just want to just kind of tell you, when I got here, I knew this was only going to be an hour and a half. And I didn't know any of these people. And I just knew that they were there for development days. So I kind of had to accelerate this whole mattering theory in my mind, right? So being in professional selling and marketing my whole career and then coming in, I just knew I had to establish rapport. I knew that I need to make a human connection. That first 15 minutes was about them. It was about me engaging them and interacting with them and asking open-ended questions, finding that common ground, developing rapport, valuable rapport. And I showed them what we were going to do, and we moved it through. And I had a little fun. I made the learning fun too, and I was very clear on, and I had a little fun. I says, now, if I do a good job, can we take a picture at the end? Would you stick around? we can make a memory. We did at the very end. They were motivated. I gave a talk on leadership effectiveness, and I broke it down into a little acronym that I made, a model called SERVE. S representing be a self-starter, assert yourself. E meaning, lead with empathy. And then R meaning be resilient, bounce back. Sometimes things are gonna not go quite right. And then V, lead with vision. Let people know where you're taking them, right? Get that attention. And that's all part of mattering theory, giving that attention and putting them in the mix. And then also, empower them. The last part of that model, serve. So when you look at empowerment, it really, a lot of what I just did there in an accelerated way, man, they walked away with a few things, right? It was a live classroom. I mean, they're not going to remember everything, right? They're going to forget a few of those things. But what happened was kind of magical where there was energy. There was good reviews. And they couldn't wait to take these pictures. Then they took the camera from me, and then they're doing a selfie. And you can see the energy in the room there. That's why I'm showing you this, that a picture is worth 1,000 words. I'd be remiss if we didn't show this for this team. Next slide, please. So what I just wanted to point out here very simply is keep pushing forward. The one thing that I think that UAGC does so wonderful is these efficient reminders in our classroom, Canvas classroom. A reminder that, hey, we got moms in the classroom. We got adult learners in the classroom. We got people coming up that are going back to school. And look at the support systems that are there in our internal, I guess I'll call it marketing or communications. But when a student dials in, there it is. That's what I see as a faculty. Sometimes we don't even realize that's registering with us. But to me, it just makes me proud to see the colors, the whole imaging, to say, I'm doing something meaningful and purposeful here, and it's just going to ignite me, and it just adds to the momentum. So great reminders. I'd be remiss if I didn't put that out there. Next slide, please. And at this point, what I want to just mention a little bit on mentoring, I'm kind of stealing Kira's idea here a little bit, and I want to tell you a little history on this. Kira and her team, Karen and the Writing Center and everybody that's involved in there, Cursor, just absolutely incredible people, dedicated, committed people, leveraging the UAGC resources. So when I was in this meeting, they came out with this model and she demonstrated it, and I went, wow, wow, wow. I said, can you give me a link? I want to embed that in my courses. I went out there, made an immediate announcement for the courses that I own so that students could have this. With an announcement, this is, if I can help you more with your writing, contact me. I would love to mentor and coach you. And the thing that I just want to talk about is when you talk about mentoring and coaching, I like to consider myself a leader coach, servant type leader, right in the classroom, serve everybody. But it is so important to know that they can come to me with that issue. I'm struggling. My paper's all over. I need to focus this. Can you help me? Absolutely, I can. And let me tell you, the Writing Center can too. Here's a tool. Take a look at this. Then let's talk later. And I'm not taking nothing away from what Kira's going to do, because she's going to show you some outstanding resources. And Kira, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank you for putting all this together and being a coordinator and facilitator for this entire project. So thank you. And with that, let's move to the next slide.
Yes, that's perfect, Bill. Thank you so much. And I do want to spend a moment talking about the Support You Toolkit in particular, because I do think it really speaks to that, building that sense of belonging for students. And several of their presenters have already kind of touched on this today, the importance of students feeling like they're part of a community because they're in the know. They have the knowledge and the information that they need to be successful. And so the Support You Toolkit is, and actually maybe you can go back one for a minute, Lindsay, just so we can see the image there. This is an interactive for students to be able to learn about the Writing Center and the library and tutoring supports. And we're actually getting ready to put this in the orientation module that's in development now. But you can also, if you are a UAGC faculty member, we do have this announcement available to put into your courses. And one of the reasons I want to encourage you to do that is because students will then feel like they have the information they need to be successful, the support services at hand, so that they feel like they're in the know. And, one of the things I think Karen mentioned in the literature research that she had done, that students will build their sense of self-efficacy and their sense of belonging if they feel like they have the tools available to succeed, if they have those academic support services at hand and are aware of them. They will grow in their feelings of self-efficacy, and that they belong belong here. These are the tools and resources here to support you. So I'm actually going to put in the chat. This is a link to all of our HTML announcements. Those are freely available for anybody to use from right there from that link, and encourage you to do so. Now, the next slide, I go a little bit broader. And some of these HTML announcements are not even owned by my team, but I think that they're really helpful to students to help grow that sense of belonging. So I actually asked several teams throughout the university to give me their HTML announcements so that I could highlight them here. And if you're interested in any of these, you could reach out to me directly, or I believe this deck will be part of the Whova app slides or whatever, but it might be the easiest way just to email me and I'll be happy to provide any of these. So the first one is hot off the presses. We just made this HTML announcement. I actually asked Louis on my team to help me with this. It's about all the live events at UAGC. So it's not just centered on my team. It's anything that will bring students together. Rebecca Good is the social media moderator, and she puts on these wonderful UAGC live events. And so that HTML announcement is evergreen because it links to the page that will update on a regular basis that will tell students about the upcoming events. And what a wonderful way for students to be able to connect and to learn and to grow from one another. And Karen and Louie do these Facebook Live events at least once a quarter for the library and the Writing Center on different writing and research related topics. And I will tell you this, and I'm not just saying this because they're on my team, these events are fantastic. They grow students' enthusiasm and excitement about learning about the library and the research, and they make it fun, which is really hard to do because those are really hard things to learn. Writing and research are difficult at the college level, and they make it fun, they make it engaging, and the chat blows up. You see students connecting with each other, sharing ideas, laughing. There's always lots of laughter. So please post this announcement and encourage your students to take part in these events because they really do help to grow that. You're not alone. You are part of a university. We're all here together and we are having this shared experience. So I love them. I love those events. The next one is UAGC Connect. I love it. I love that your mom's there too. That's fantastic. UAGC Connect. UAGC Connect is our virtual town hall, and it is a really wonderful place for students to be able to post in this internal environment and share ideas and events and clubs and organizations, outreach. So UAGC Connect is a fantastic place for students, again, to be able to grow their sense of belonging. And I think Vanessa's in the audience and we just love UAGC Connect. So I wanted to make sure to include that HTML announcement as well. The next one is CHAMPS. If you're not familiar with CHAMPS, it is our peer mentoring program. It's a wonderful way for mentors and mentees to come together. Basically, you can either act as a mentor or a mentee at UAGC. There's all sorts of information available. Evan Gray is a wonderful point of contact for that. This is their HTML announcement to encourage students to take part in CHAMPS. And it is a wonderful way for students to feel grounded and connected to each other in this university and feel like they're not alone. A branch of that peer mentoring is peer tutoring. And that's the part that Millie on my team oversees. Peer tutoring was launched this year in 4 of the 5 first-year courses, and I have them listed here. Each one of those courses has an HTML announcement, and that's actually already pre-populated in those courses, but you can post them anytime to remind students to take advantage of peer tutoring. There is a link directly in each one of those 4 courses. So students can click on that peer tutoring link, and then the splash page will come up and it will show them the drop-in peer tutoring hours. So students will always be able to see when they can connect with a peer tutor. A new thing we're trying, because some students are not available during the drop-in hours or feel maybe intimidated by that face-to-face interaction, we also are offering peer tutoring via email as well. So that is going up on the website, I believe this week, actually, hot off the press. So please do encourage your students to take advantage of peer tutoring because these peer tutors are not just there to chat with them. They are there to help set them up for academic success, help them through their assignments. If they're confused about something or they're feeling insecure or intimidated, they're there. They're really great. Oh my gosh, these peer mentors and peer tutors are unbelievable. They have wonderful strategies, time management strategies, stress reducing strategies, everything that students can need to be able to feel like they can get through this class. And that's really key. They're really wonderful to help with that persistence. And I already mentioned our Support You announcements. I highlight a few of them here. I've already talked about the Support You toolkit. We also just recently made one about contacting the library. And this is a selfish one too, because I am a librarian by trade, even though I oversee 3 different teams within that. I am still a librarian at heart. And we have noticed that our library phone hours are not being well utilized lately. Students have not been calling us. And we have heard so many times on the phone when we talk to a student, I wish I had called you sooner. I wish I had known about you sooner. I wish I had connected with a librarian. And we really do help students to get through that research hurdle and that stress. And we can really help to support students in finding the research they need for their courses. So please do drive traffic to us. We are waiting on the calls for students. We love connecting with students. So please do that. And then finally is the Writing Center. We're always doing live events, both Writing Center and library, but I'm highlighting here the Writing Center workshop series. That's once a month. Students can connect with a writing consultant and learn about a particular topic that they're struggling with and learn how to workshop their work to be able to improve it. And then finally, we have our live writing tutoring. That's our #1 support, by the way. Writing tutoring and paper review are our most used services. And so they really do make a huge difference to helping students to feel like they are able to get through their writing assignments and make progress on improving their writing. So that's it for me. I just wanted to plug a few of our services. And now I'm going to hand it over to Jerry to talk about, and Jerry, I want to say, is a wonderful resource. And I'm so glad that you're going to be talking about ways that non-student facing roles really support students in growing their sense of belonging as well, because it's absolutely true. And you're critical to that. So Jerry, I hand it to you.
Oh, thanks, Kara. We've really had some good ideas so far on how we can work together to support and further student success. And I appreciate the comments that we've heard from all of our presenters that have been sprinkled throughout our presentation, and talking about the various resources provided by the university and the various personnel involved. And that really ties well into the 2 slides that I have. When I first started thinking about the title of our presentation, Turning the Keys of Service, Unlocking Belonging in Higher Education, I really had to spend some time reflecting on the question, where do I fit in? You see, I have a job that is non-student facing. I'm in more of a technical role. I work mostly with raw data files. I'm analyzing and transforming them into some type of usable, actionable report. And I know that probably sounds boring to many of you, but I really like it. And the people that I interact with most of the time work in departments such as faculty affairs, faculty operations. I also collaborate with full-time faculty members quite frequently. I'm part of pilot teams. We build new kinds of surveys. We build faculty-related dashboards and reports. And I also support and maintain and enhance these reports when end users have questions or ideas to continuously improve them. And I know that there's lots of others in the university who also do not interact directly with students. You can see here compliance, human resources, finance, IT support, research, facilities management, curriculum development, accreditation. We all know that these roles are crucial for the smooth functioning of the university, but how does what we do have an impact on whether students have a sense of belonging? And how does what I do in my job every day somehow help students feel like they matter? And indirectly, I believe it does. Lindsay, could you go ahead and go to the next slide, please? Thank you. Since it's not the students that I interact with directly, I see it as my responsibility to serve and support those who are in student-facing roles. And I just want to make sure that they're equipped with everything they need to build that sense of mattering for students and thereby unlock belonging. So if you also happen to be in a non-student facing role, perhaps you feel the same sense of responsibility. As an example, a few months ago, Bill, who you've met on our panel here, reached out to me with a few questions about some Power BI reports he was looking at. And as I've learned about the mattering theory, there was some things that I actually did that aligned with the theory that I didn't realize at the time, but I wanted to give him all my attention and really show genuine interest, so that together we could prioritize some new ways for him to build even more high-quality student-teacher relationships. And as he showed me what he was trying to accomplish, I thought it was really interesting how he used some of the reports that I had created to reach out to student advisors and team up with them for an enhanced positive impact on students, or as Bill would say, a way to ignite them. Earlier in our presentation, we saw that when people believe they matter, they feel valued in their interpersonal relationships. And when they have a sense of belonging, they feel accepted, respected, encouraged, and supported by peers. And so when I was talking with Bill, I asked him several questions about what information he was seeking and why, so that not only could I better serve and support him, but I could help make him feel like he matters and belongs in this university. So you could say I was turning the keys of service in the way that I worked with Bill. And as we chatted about some other reports that I introduced to him, he had not seen them yet. We really started to dig in and try to figure out how to identify students who maybe just needed a little bit of extra help. Or maybe we could identify where an outreach was needed or give them a boost to let them know that we care about their progress and their situation. And by the time Bill and I ended our conversation, I felt he was really excited about the new potential that he had to have an impact on making students, more students feel like they matter, but also in his own increased ability to use the reporting tools that could in turn increase a student's sense of belonging. And it was Bill's interest in the reports that I had created that made me feel like what I do matters. And the time that I spent with him hopefully makes him feel like he matters. And my point is this: to deliver our best to students, we really need to deliver our best to each other, especially in non-student facing interactions. You could say all this happens behind the scenes. And I think this is where the magic happens. Unlocking belonging with students actually begins with us as staff and faculty turning the keys of service for each other and unlocking belonging for each other by interacting in a way that makes the other person feel like they matter. So I'm going to go ahead and pass the baton over to Ashley now with a couple of questions. Ashley, what thoughts do you have about working together behind the scenes, and how important do you think this is?
Well, here to Jerry. That was so wonderful. And I like how you said, pass the baton. You know, we can work with one another on work projects to focus on students. And sometimes where the magic happens is learning about one another behind the scenes as well. And that can help support one another. Jerry and I working on this project, we've worked on a few projects before, but we've both realized that we have such a deep love and passion for endurance sports. I see David McCusick in the chat or in the list as well. I know he does as well. And just learning those things about one another, it makes it easier, right, to work with one another. We see their perspective, see where they're coming from, and just recognize them as humans, as I said earlier. So Jerry, to your question, we make the magic happen for our students. These connections behind the scenes, they promote belongingness not only with each other, as you had mentioned, they make us individually feel like we matter to our students, to the university, to one another. We are truly forming a community and a culture of success. So how can we do this? What are some strategies that we can take after this meeting and, use it to further belonging and mattering? Utilizing and finding one another's strengths. We're all here in support of our students, and we all have, I think, sometimes secret strengths that maybe we don't know about one another, that we can come together and use each other's expertise. We all have a story and a life prior to working in higher education. What did we do? How can we support one another to ensure that we are making really great things happen in our day-to-day work? We can share our goals surrounding student success. So that's one thing I know we've all worked on, is having unified goals across departments. And really, what are those goals? It's our students graduating. It's our students finding their dream career once they graduate, right? Giving them the service of supporting them in their higher education so they can make their lives better. Cross-training. This is something that we absolutely do, and we can continue to do. What do each one of us do on a day-to-day basis? We can learn from one another's success and strengths, as I mentioned before, by training one another and learning. I was speaking to one of my team members yesterday, and we were talking about intrinsic motivation. And when we're not learning, when we're not growing, when we're not attending TLC to best develop ourselves, sometimes we lose that motivation. And putting more tools in our tool belt can, by cross-training and learning from one another, can absolutely make that magic happen. Promoting feedback channels. So how do we know that what we're doing actually, in fact, helps one another or helps students? Jerry and I were talking about this behind the scenes. Sometimes he may create a report and it goes off into Power BI, and is it ever used? Are we finding it useful? We need to take the time to really recognize what everyone is doing behind the scenes and share that. I know my peer and colleague, Bill. He is the best at doing this. Sometimes him and I'll have a conversation, and 2 weeks later, he'll come back and say something along the lines of, something you said to me, I used it today in a conversation. And I think us recognizing where we're learning from one another, where each other are truly contributing to our student success and to our individual success, pass that back to one another. Take those feedback channels. Nothing feels better, right, than maybe getting a compliment, an unexpected compliment from a peer. So how can we do that? We can ask questions, right? Is that report super helpful for you? How are you using that? And we can also take that amongst ourselves. Everything that we're doing on a day-to-day basis, whether I'm sharing an announcement in my classroom, I can circle back and let Kira know that it really helped a student. Karen, all the time, she's assisting me with articles to put in my classroom. And, when students are citing that, I can take that time, effort, and energy to share that back with them, just so they know that what they're doing is absolutely impacting student lives. Lastly, and most importantly, celebrating student success. How do we do this? We do this by talking about our students. We do this by starting meetings, sharing student stories, and maybe how we helped a student, maybe a question or a concern a student had that we couldn't help them with. But we need to ensure that we are talking about students all the time. They are the bread and butter of why we're here. We would not have these jobs if it wasn't for students, right? We would not be coming to work, interacting with each other, or in this conference if it wasn't for our important students. And we just need to ensure that we are celebrating their success every single day. Next slide.
All right, wonderful. Ashley, that was just absolutely inspiring. I really appreciate you sharing all of that. You guys are all amazing. Now I want to hear from everyone that is in attendance, please. We have tried our best to share some wonderful ideas about how you can build belonging in the classroom. And some of those you might already be doing, and you may have learned some new ones today, I'm hoping. So I want to know, how are you currently building a sense of belonging in your classrooms? Or is there something that you learned today that you're planning on using in your classroom? So either way, like, is there anything, there's a takeaway that you can operationalize in your own practice, or is there something you're already doing that's building a sense of belonging that you'd like to share? So don't be shy. I'm going to be watching the chat to see if anybody's got some takeaways or something that they're already doing that they'd like to share with the rest of us. I'm going to sit here quietly and see. Still waiting. Would love to see some participation. I know it's late into our TLC. We've already been doing it for 3 days, but oh, cool. Vanessa, thank you very much. Thanks for not leaving me hanging. So as a student, I enjoyed when the instructors commented on each of our discussions. Well, that is really good. The worst feeling is if you put in a discussion and then it's crickets. You want to make sure that you are being heard, that people are engaging with what you've written, and instructors play such a critical role in that, and acknowledging what the students are saying and connecting that. That's really good. And Michael says, listen to our students and make it a safe place to discuss anything. And that is critical. Absolutely. You really do need to develop. And Bill, you talked about this early on in the presentation, the importance of building trust. And how if you build that trusting relationship and get to know the student and ask those questions and they will feel like it's a safe place to be able to discuss anything. So that's a really great point. And Jody, I love finding interesting personal connections, shared loves of places that, yes. Ashley, you'd mentioned this, sharing that, having that connection, like sharing things that you have in common, that can really bridge a gap. That can really bring you together and to make it so that you have this shared sense of belonging. I love that. Yes, staying engaged, it's essential. Find common ground. Yep, absolutely, Bill. And you are, and Ashley, you mentioned this, you are one of the best at this by far. Absolutely. You find common ground, you connect with people, either personally or professionally, and you really honor people's strengths. I mean, you're the master at it. So that's really wonderful. Okay, and anything else? Those have been really, really good. We're actually almost at time. So feel free to add more things in the chat, but we're going to go on to the next one of our final slides. And we're going to say, please, our ask of you is to go forth and to be a belonging ambassador and to really help to promote that sense of belonging with your students. It's really up to you, faculty and staff, to help to build that connection. So we encourage you to be a belonging ambassador and bring those students in and to make them feel connected. Bill, do you have any last minute parting words for us?
Well, here's just a quick saying I've had with me throughout my entire career, and that is talk the walk and walk the talk. And remember, they're going to be watching more how you walk it than you talk it. The first way you establish credibility are through your words, but then they got to see the consistency. So what Karen mentioned earlier when I presented it, do what you say you're going to do, follow through, stay engaged. Those are my parting thoughts. You're not going to use everything we put out here. You're doing some of this already, but boy, the ideas that came out here today, I know I've taken a lot of notes. So thank you to my panel teammates here, because you added a lot of value to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. And we actually can open it up now for questions. We have 5 minutes left. So you're welcome to come off mic and ask the questions, or you can also put them in the chat.
A question for particularly for the faculty in the room. I lead a behind the scenes team, and so I'm thinking a lot about those tips for building trust and encouraging my team to take that time to build trust with the faculty SMEs that we work with when we're trying to help procure resources. But really, beyond, a wider scope of that, what would be helpful? What are some specific things that the support staff could do for faculty in our interactions with you to make you feel more supported, to build that trust with you? Any ideas?
Lindsay, I'm going to tell you, you've already built trust with me because you followed through. I always love when I see people that are honest, when they are show their competence, their skill set, durable skills, and then they also are dependable and reliable. So I called you about some links for the session. You came right back to me. We had dialogue. I mean, now that's just a real basic level of support, but durable skills help build that, and a mindset, a positive mindset builds that too. So, but I think the support network here is just absolutely super, and I just try to always enhance it and build even stronger bonds. So that's how I operate. So keep doing what you're doing. That's my message.
I think honestly, what we can do, Lindsay, too, is just make sure that faculty know that we actually anxiously and eagerly want to support what they do in the classroom. And I think that the more that we build that reputation of really embracing that and wanting to be in service and support of faculty and supporting the students, I think the more we can kind of bridge some of those gaps and make sure that we are able to connect. That's kind of what my take on it. I know you're asking faculty specifically, but that's from my perspective. That's what
No,
I
and
think.
your team does a great job at that, so I appreciate it. I mean, you guys are doing something great. You have great reputation with faculty, and just wanting to emulate that and really build that trust with my teams as well. So
Oh,
thank you.
your team has that as well. I'm telling you, Lindsay. Yes, Learning Resources does such a wonderful relationship with faculty about all the textbooks. You guys do a fantastic job. And I did see Paige. One of the things I want to call out too, it's so wonderful to have that like an email exchange where you can, set up with students, like if it's something that would make more sense to have a call and talk it out. It's so nice to have different modalities available for student support to be able to connect with students, and making sure that you have multiple ways for students to get that support is really, really critical. So I love that you shared that. Anything else, any other questions or last minute comments? I know we're almost at time. This has been wonderful. I hope that you all have taken something away from this session, but
And
you could always
I'm-
follow up
I'm
with us
going to
as
go
well.
ahead and just make one more comment for Lindsay's benefit here, and they do this. But communicate, don't procrastinate. I mean, that's something, a drum that I beat my whole career, and don't hesitate. There's something there, question, dial it up. Let's make sure we're working together as one, and we do that. I mean, I've got so much confidence in the UAGC system, the resources, the people, the support systems. I mean, I can't tell you, everybody energizes me. So Lindsay, thank you again. And Ryan is here in the background, and
Yeah,
all
thank
my
you, Ryan.
presenters and everybody attending. I mean, one team better together. We're doing it.
Absolutely. And that is a perfect ending. Thank you to our panelists, and thank you to the audience for your participation in today's session. Please use the survey linked in the chat to nominate TLC presentations for conference awards and share your feedback on your experience. Thanks again, and hope you enjoy the rest of TLC.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. Thanks, everyone.
Take care.